What's up, everybody? Welcome back. This team behind me is absolutely amazing. I used this team and just about full autoed the entire HAAT in about 20 minutes today. It's all due to pretty much Finn and his rework. You know, his old kit, it just pretty much made him a walking, talking leadership ability. There was no real power behind anything else on his kit. But with the rework, everything else has gotten a massive boost, especially for the PvE environment. For raids, whether it's HAAT or the Sith raid, you can do some seriously good damage with Finn in the lineup. And it's due mostly to because of his takedown ability, where it now stacks upwards of 500% max damage, and his basic can also stack upwards of 100% bonus damage. So you do have those two abilities, but one that's really kind of underrated is his hold the line ability, which is now really impressive for your resistance teams because it gives them an on-demand heal. Now they recover 20% health and protection. You don't really have a lot of the way in healing for your resistance characters before. You have protection regeneration with Illuminate Destiny. I think Holdo also gave you something. But really, there was not a lot of protection and healing for your resistance characters, and thankfully, this ability really fills in that gap and helps really round them out. So Finn, he is still a bit of a tank. I mean, he is able to get taunt and retribution whenever his determination buff expires, but he's so much more than that now. He's now really what you'd like to call a bruiser, which is a tank that deals a lot of damage or is a kind of a pesky character if you don't focus him down or control him. He's that kind of bruiser tank character now. But really, with this team behind me, with CLS in that 5th spot, but you could easily switch it out and put in Han Solo instead. I actually think Han will be faster for this team than CLS. You can pretty much wipe out the tank in no time at all. I put the team on auto, I think about 80% left in phase 1, and I never let up. I had to do some manual targeting of the turrets because, you know, the AI gets a little wonky there with the turrets and not targeting them and just going straight for the tank. But otherwise, this team is now going to be your standard go-to team for soloing the heroic AAT because it's much faster. Now you did have Resistance Trooper before in that spot instead of Finn, but now because of the massive damage with Finn, you are able to make it so much quicker. So also, one thing I did forget to mention is the mods on Finn. His modding is pretty much go for as much offense as you can, throw a little bit of speed on him if nothing else, but really stack up his damage. That's going to be the key here. So go for offense arrow, offense on the cross, and then crit damage on the triangle. But really, you're just filling out the secondaries offense stats as much as possible. And that is really the goal here because he's going to move plenty fine under the JTR lead. There's so many exposes flying around everywhere with everybody that you're pretty much going to just constantly fuel his turn meter. His AI prioritizes takedown over the hold the line special, so he will spam that unless there's debuffs on your team. He'll use the hold the line as a bit of a cleanse, or if someone's falling low on health and protection, he'll also heal up with that. But otherwise, this team is gonna pretty much wreck. So let's go ahead and dive right into the footage and talk about this team a little bit. So for phase 1, the one thing you do need to do is get dazed on the droid allies or get 2 stacks of confuse on them. At that point, they will no longer be allowed to assist, which then means that Grievous cannot force the taunt on them because the force taunt is categorized as an assist for the raid mechanics, so Daze will be able to prevent that, or the 2 stacks of confuse. Basically, Daze and confuse the droids, and you should be able to handle it from there. So in terms of RNG and autoing and some stuff there, I was able to put the raid on auto from 80% left in phase 1, and I was able to clear phase 1 with about 4 or 5 stacks of enrage left on Grievous. That was a pretty good run in my opinion. There is some concerns there about whether you're getting the right turn removal at the right time, or if something can get it resisted, and that's always something to keep in mind, but I do think it's entirely possible. From a very high amount left in phase 1, you should be able to put it on auto and clear phase 1 pretty easily. Now, one other thing to mention about this is, of course, there is going to be a heavy reliance on mods. You will no longer have the cheap Finn teams where you can basically just throw mods anything that you want to on the Finn team and basically just let it rip. You do not have that luxury with the JTR team, so you need to put speed on C-3PO and BB-8, put the offense on Finn like I showed before, put some pretty good mixture of offense and speed on JTR, and also putting some good offense and speed on Han as well. That would really help fill things out. But of course, that will no longer mean that you can just put something like a Finn lead in, put whatever mods you want to on there. You're not going to have that happen anymore. The days of that are long gone, so there is going to be a good reliance on mods again to auto the Heroic AAT, and of course that is not going to make everybody happy, and I totally understand that. That means that you don't have these easy Finn Zeta teams that you can use anymore, and of course that goes back to the outcry we had from before. Now, for the Heroic AAT, there is going to have to be some manual targeting, and I was doing a bit of experimentation while I was running this team. You do have points where the team will refuse to target the turrets on the tank, and that can be a little frustrating, but I wanted to see just how badly the run could go if I had a topple where I didn't get the tank down in time, it moved while some of the turrets were still up, and thankfully even without that second buff from having the tank toppled in time, you were still able to clear quite a significant portion of Phase 2. So really, there's not a lot to worry about there. Phase 2 is still going to be pretty easy. You can mess up a time or two with the turrets and not toppling the tank in time, and it will still run fine. Now, moving on to Phase 3, it's pretty easy at that point. I mean, really, you just put on auto, and I don't think I ever had the B2 move in Phase 3. In fact, I'm pretty sure the B2 never moved. Once those 3 stacks of Confuse were on to reduce the counter chance, that tank just did not move. The debuffs and the speed down and the Terminator removal with CLS was pretty helpful here, but Han can also be really reliable there because he can also remove Terminator, and because he's a rebel with C-3PO on the team, he can do a double tap with 2 stacks of Exposed put on, which gives 20% Terminator to Resistance allies. That is why I think Han is going to be a better choice than CLS in this team, because you do have those 2 stacks of Exposed, so that's a good 20% there, and you can run to problems with the debuffs from CLS could get resisted, so there are going to be some problems there. Then again, you do have the Exposes from Han that could be resisted as well. So there could be some experimentation back and forth. I do think Han is going to be better than CLS in the long run here, but I do think that either one is going to be a solid option for you. So there's really no need to prioritize CLS over Han or vice versa for this kind of team in the Heroic AAT. Now, moving on to Phase 4, you're going to have the same problem in Phase 2 where sometimes the AI just does not want to target the 3 turrets on the tank. You can go ahead and put Daze and get like a stack of Expose on the 2 side B2s, and you can just completely forget about them. I didn't really do that. I completely forgot about that. It slipped my mind. But if you can put Daze and get a stack of Expose on those 2 B2s, you never have to worry about them again, because at that point, you can just go ahead and start taking out the turrets, toppling the tank, and they will constantly have turn rate reduction because you're using so many specials with your Resistance allies. Now, of course, this will also mean that very quickly Finn's damage will stack up, and we can't forget about Finn. He is the star of the show here. His takedown damage with my mods, I was pushing 250,000 damage on him, which I thought was pretty impressive. That was some numbers we haven't quite seen in a while with these kind of characters. The last character I can remember coming out that could do massive damage was going to be young Han Solo, where he could stack 1,000,000 damage with his special very quickly, and that created the YOLO Solo team by yours truly way back in the day. So, Finn, with his new rework and his kit, his leadership's not as good anymore, and with that leadership, you're not going to be able to really solo the tank raid. And that was something I really tried. Both me and Arnold, we both tried it. We really could not get a way to clear Phase 1 with the Finn lead. You know, you have to have Resistance allies pop the Exposed damage. It only gives bonus Terminator to Resistance allies, and the Terminator reduction with the Exposed damage also can be resisted. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there. It's nowhere near as good as it was before. Let's go ahead and make that clear. This lead definitely got nerfed for a raid, but I think overall that had to happen because it was just so strong, especially with C-3PO. It really broke things. So the nerf had to happen there, but the fact that they were able to buff up the rest of his kit and make him such a powerhouse, especially for the PvE environment. And I really haven't tested him out in the PvP area too much. I saw Arnold had some pretty good success with him, so I will try that out on my personal account as well and see what I can get with him there. But overall, that is gonna be pretty much it for this video. You guys are probably wondering, how does Finn fare in the Sith raid? That will be coming later. I still need to test that out. I need to ask my guild very nicely if I can test things out in Phase 3 with that Finn lead and see what we can get. But for now, that's going to be it for this video. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking quite a bit about the B2 login and what that could possibly mean for Clone Wars content in the future, and we'll see what we could possibly get from that. But as always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you all did enjoy this video, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. As always, guys, thank you so much. I will talk to you guys later.